There's only one soap that can make a man-hating feminist love men again. One soap to fix them all. Tactical Soap. Pheromone-infused soap for men and proud channel sponsor of 21 Studios. I'm Anthony Dream Johnson, and I approve this soap. Order now at the link below. Use coupon code 21C for 10% off now.
George Bruno with the 21 Report in Orlando, Florida. And we're talking with Alan Roger Currie, who just got whisked off stage. We're going to have a chat with him about what he talked to the men about at the convention. But first, what did you think of the convention so far? What's your impression?
Oh, outstanding, outstanding. Total kudos to Anthony. He's raised his game to another level because I thought last year was outstanding. And this year is another notch up. The setup, the group of guys, all the speakers were just, I thought all of them were great. So I've just thoroughly enjoyed it. And the most thing I've enjoyed is interacting with the attendees because, they just been coming up to me with questions. A lot of them weren't familiar with me. Now they are.
Yeah.
And it's just been a great, gratifying experience.
And that's good for your brand as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And I like that I only have 2 syllables, Mode 1, because it's easy to remember.
Very. It's almost synonymous with your name. It's one of those things where people, when they mention Mode 1, which is the name of your book, they automatically think you. Mm-hmm. Automatically. So you and the name of your book are a synonymous brand, and it's a method. People, I've heard conversations where people said, oh, I do Mode 1, without even mentioning your name. It's just like you and your method and your book are just like all one thing. It's very recognizable. What is the gist of your message with the men at the convention?
My main message is to first identify what are your desires, interests, and intentions as it relates to spending time with a woman. Why do you want to share her company? And once you have a general idea of that, now how are you going to verbally communicate that? Because one of the things I say in my book is that there's a difference between talking and communicating. Some people think they're the exact same thing, but they're not necessarily. For example, there are a lot of men who will approach a woman, initiate a conversation, and they'll talk about how great the weather is, how much they enjoy the food at that restaurant, their favorite movies. None of that has anything to do with why do you ultimately want to share that woman's company. So a lot of guys are scared to be too forward because they think that's going to be a turnoff to women. Women are going to have a negative reaction. And in some cases, they will be taken aback because a lot of women are not used to men being straight up front and straightforwardly honest about their genuine desires, interests, and intentions. So I push men to be that straightforward because, George, I think if you say we're either in the market for a house or selling a house, you wouldn't want somebody coming to your house and say you go around, show them a tour of your house, and then at the end of the conversation you say, so, you planning on buying a new house? And they say, actually, no, I'm not planning on buying a new house till 5 years from now. I just saw your house and I wanted to come. You'd be like, you wasted my time. And see, that's what I tell guys. Why would you want to talk to a woman for an hour only to have her at the end of the conversation say, oh, I already have a boyfriend? And that's happened to quite a few guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It reminds me in business, begin with the end in mind. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what I tell guys. I can't say it better. Begin with the end in mind and then let it flow from there. And then along with that, one thing I frown on, even though I know some guys are going to continue to do this, I hate guys. There's 2 things kind of what I call manipulative head games that guys engage in. One is guys who want a long-term romantic relationship with a woman, but because they're, again, afraid of rejection, they will spend weeks, months, sometimes even years pretending like they're content with being that woman's purely platonic male friend. Essentially, they put themselves in a woman's friend zone, hoping with their fingers crossed that there's going to be this one lucky day in the future where she says, oh, you've been such a great friend. I want to upgrade you now to my boyfriend. There's maybe a 1% chance that will happen, but that will never happen. So I tell guys, don't put yourself in the friend zone, because I think it's a misnomer for men to say, well, yeah, Amber, she put me in the friend zone. No, you did.
So you're basically telling men that they are responsible for the zone they are in. Whatever zone that is, it's on them.
This guy is so eloquent. I love George to death. He knows how to break everything down in a concise manner. Exactly. Yes, be responsible for the zone you're in. And even worse than that scenario is guys who know they just want something short-term, non-monogamous, and casual, but they'll lie to women, mislead women, and give women the misleading impression that they want a long-term, emotionally profound, monogamous relationship. And then after they have sex with that woman 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, they just dump her or go ghost on her, and she's left confused, frustrated, heartbroken. And I'm like, come on, fellas.
So mode 1 is also a compassionate mode.
Exactly.
You don't want to hurt anybody. Like, you don't want to be hurt, but you don't want to hurt anybody. It's not a careless pickup artist method. It's actually a caring method.
I'm taking you on tour with me, George. Because you are just excellent at articulating in simple terms what my method is about. Exactly. Yeah, you summed it up very well. Yeah, I'm not trying to run game on women that will leave them mentally or emotionally damaged. And like you said, I don't want to put myself in a position to be misled, strung along, or be left, heartbroken and mentally and emotionally damaged. So I try to eliminate all the lies, all the BS head games. Just lay your cards on the table and see where they take you.
A guy is in the friend zone for 3, 6, 9 months. They do things together. And then one night, at the end of every night, they hug each other. Bye, sweetie. See you, honey. And they do stuff socially. And then all of a sudden one night, he tries to kiss her. And she goes, whoa. We're just friends. She's acting surprised. All of a sudden he's offended because he's been a nice guy, spent money on her. They did a lot of things socially. She might have even held his arm as they're walking down the sidewalk. But she's not going to go there with him. But if he was clear right from the start what he wanted, and clear about asking her what she was interested in, it just eliminates the nonsense, doesn't it?
Oh, understatement. And that very scenario you described, that has been the scenario of a lot of my male clients. They found themselves in that position. And again, they put themselves in that position. Some of them, I have 4 modes of behavior. Mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, and mode 4. Mode 4 represents when you just develop a high degree of bitterness and resentment towards women, borderline misogyny towards women because you're so romantically and sexually frustrated. And one of the scenarios that provokes a man to transition into mode 4 is what you just described. Like I described in my chapter about mode 4, where I knew this woman, she had this guy who lived in her apartment building. And he presented himself as just her friend. He presented himself as if he was content with being her friend. So he behaved like he was fine with being her friend until one day he found out that she had hooked up with another guy in the apartment building. Fairly quickly. Like the guy had only been in the apartment building like a week or 2, and she hooked up with him. So she said he came by one night and he said, my shower broke. Can I use your shower? And, them being friends, she was like, sure. But then he comes out the bathroom with his towel and he just drops it off. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, you ready for me now? And she's like, no, you're my friend. He was like, well, you slept with so-and-so, and he just moved in like 2 weeks ago, and she said he just started going off on her. And she literally had to go, it got to the point where she was going to call the police on him. She said, I'm going to call the police if you don't leave my apartment right now. And he started cursing at her. And this was because he had been phony all that time for, let's say, 6 months. He disingenuously pretended like he was this woman's friend, like he was content. But then he showed his true self in that night. And it was sad. So.
And then he's accusing her of leading him on.
Exactly. Exactly. He's pointing the finger at her like, you're the one who messed up. You led me on your street. No, she didn't.
No, she didn't.
Not at all.
That's a good example of you are responsible for the zone you are in. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You coach guys.
Yes, I do. I do, on the basic level, I do email consultations. Next level up, I do Skype and telephone consultations with both guys domestically as well as internationally. In my highest level of coaching, I do one-on-one, face-to-face coaching in 4-hour blocks, 8-hour blocks, and a 3-day, 14-hour block. And I've done a lot of traveling this year. I work with some clients in Miami this year, Vancouver, Canada, Chicago, Los Angeles. And the first starting point is I want men to get to a point where they're not afraid of rejection. Because one problem I have with a lot of what I like to call conventional PUAs is they try to teach guys.
There are some men in the audience right now that don't know what PUA is.
Oh, that's true. Pickup artists. There are a lot of men who are professional pickup artists, and the acronym for that is PUA. So a lot of you guys might have gone on the internet and saw something that said the PUA community. Some people call it the attraction and seduction community. But yeah, there are a lot of guys who are pickup artists. And one major philosophical distinction I have from probably 98% of the pickup artists out there is they will teach you methods and techniques designed to ideally help a man prevent rejection and avoid it completely, or at minimum, delay it or circumvent it somehow or minimize the egotistical sting. And my attitude is you got to learn how to be a man and handle rejection head on. Life is going to be full of all forms of rejection, not in the form of just women, but job rejections and whatnot. And you have to be able to accept that. And I find that the guys who are the most afraid of rejection are, interesting enough, the men who have experienced it the least. I find that most men who've experienced just dozens and dozens and hundreds of rejection, like myself, fellas, a lot of guys think, oh, Alan, he's a successful dating coach. He's probably never been rejected. It's quite the contrary. I've been rejected just hundreds of times. And I've come to realize it's no big deal. It's part of life. And matter of fact, there's been a lot of rejections that at the time it was disappointing. And then say 6 months later, when I found out more about that woman who rejected me, I was like, shoot, I'm glad she rejected me. So that's my first step with guys I coach and consult with. As I help them overcome their fear of rejection. A close second to that is a lot of guys just care, and this is both men and women in general, but men in particular, they care too much what other people think. And so that makes them afraid of criticism, afraid of negative reactions. And I always tell guys, if you like, say, barbecue chicken pizza, and you happen to be at a social event that might be attended by some raw vegans and some vegetarians, and they come to you and like, ew, why would you eat that? What kind of jerk are you eating that barbecue chicken pizza? I'm like, if that's one of your favorite dishes of all time, are you gonna stop eating that barbecue chicken pizza because these vegans and vegetarians had that reaction to you?
Yeah.
I said, if you were, then that means you care way too much what other people think, you know? Now, it's different if you were invited to a party and it was made known to you ahead of time that it was going to be nothing but raw vegans and vegetarians, and they prefer that people who eat meat don't eat that in front of them. That's you being respectful.
Yeah.
So that's a totally different concept. But if you're at a social event where it's free for you to eat anything you want to, and they just happen to give you some negative feedback, you got to do you. And so that's another major lesson I teach guys is that, you know, some guys, they scared of every little criticism that come their way. Why do you watch ESPN so much? Why do you hang out with your male friends so much? Why do you talk about sex so much? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And they'll try to change and modify and adjust their behavior in order to accommodate and appease this woman. And then they wonder why the woman loses interest, because you're too easy to take pieces. Women don't like guys, and you notice I'm preaching choir with you. But women do not like guys who they can too easily mold to their liking. Now, as I'd say maybe platonic friends, they might like a guy like that.
Yeah.
But women like a guy who's their own man.
Yeah.
Who has some backbone.
Yeah.
And makes their decisions the way they want to make their decisions. That guy's his own man. That's when you earn a woman's respect. Even if she has some nitpicky criticisms, deep down, she respects you for being your own man.
Yeah. One of the effects of a Mode 1 approach to life, from my perspective, is that it saves money. When a man is just going on date after date after date, and of course, many men think that they have to spend money on a woman. So can you imagine taking a woman out for a $200 dinner? You might be giving her flowers or treating her to a gift whole evening. If you have enough of those dates, you're going to be out of $3,000. Mode 1 can save a man money. How many men waste money trying to impress women?
How many hours do we have for this interview? That's a big stickler for me because, again, I hate to pick on the PUA community again, but there's so many conventional PUAs that will essentially tell guys that the key to dating a woman, even the key to getting them in bed just for casual sex, is to take them out on 3, 4, or 5 dates. And like I recently read this ebook by this PUA who said you should go on a minimum of 3 dates, but don't spend more than $25 a date. But when I got my calculator out, and I estimated that if a guy was to go out with, say, 17 women in a calendar year, and each woman he went on 3 dates and spent $75, it was like just under $1,300.
Yeah. That he threw out.
That he just threw away. You know, let's say all 17 women, at best he got maybe a 2-second tongue kiss with them, but he never ended up making out with them. He never ended up bed with them. He just spent $1,300 to have friendly, flattering, entertaining conversation.
And I think that's a conservative figure because there are some guys who blow some big money on girls.
Matter of fact, there was a guy here I just overheard telling another guy about he had a friend who spent over $4,000 or $5,000 on some woman that he never even ended up getting a kiss from. He paid for trips of hers and bought her clothes and all.
And I'm sure she enjoyed everything and had a great time.
Of course. And that's why I talk about, you heard my presentation, I have these 5 archetypes, and one of them is the manipulative time waster.
Yeah.
And see, those are the women, like a lot of guys think that rejectors, the women who are rejectors, are the enemy. But I say, no. You should appreciate women that once you lay out your desires, interests, and intentions, the women who reject you in an upfront, straightforward, in other words, they're mode 1 in terms of rejecting you. Don't get mad at those women. You should almost want to give them a hug. Because they're preventing you from wasting time and wasting money. But the manipulative time wasters, those are the women that they know from the time they meet you that they're not interested in you romantically or for casual sex. But what they do is they pretend like they are. They'll become extra flirtatious, and they'll have you waste all this time and money. And then they'll say, you know what? I appreciate you spending the $10,000 on me, but I only look at you as a friend. I'm sorry.
Oh, those got to be the worst words to hear after you spent $10,000.
Exactly. So,
out on the street of Orlando last night, I'm walking to the cigar bar, and there was a I don't know if he was homeless or just a man, a panhandler type, but he had a sign that said, "I can't lie. I want to buy a beer." Because everyone says, don't give money to the homeless because they're only going to buy alcohol. And a lot of people just keep their hands in their pockets. This guy's sign said, "I'm not going to lie. I want beer." I mean, to the point.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you know if you're going to put $1 in his cup, he's going to get a beer. Straight to the point.
Exactly.
No, take the mystery right out of it. And first thing that came to my mind was Mode 1, street style. Right?
Exactly.
Well, so you do coaching. People can go to a website called what?
Directapproachdating.com. As one word, directapproachdating.com. And you'll find my email, my contact information, my different types of coaching sessions, and all of my books. The gist of I have 4 books that have related content, but yet distinctively different content. And so you can find all about me. I'm also can be found, my biography is on wikipedia.org.
George Bruno with the 21 Report in Orlando, Florida, talking with Alan Roger Currie, author of the book, Mode 1. Thank you.
Thank you, George.